Welcome back. We're going to talk about health, our physical health. So it's all about our physical body. It's illness, movement, fuel, sleep, all of the things that our human body needs, right? So we know that these are all important things. Let's move to the next slide. So how we solve it, right? So we know that energy comes from our body, and when we put good things into our body feels better than when we put junk in our body. When we give it all of the things it needs, it thrives, just like a plant. You don't give it sunlight or water, and it doesn't thrive. But you give it all of the things that it needs, good soil, water, sun, and you have a thriving plant. So we're a little bit more complex than that. However, really not so much so physically. Illness, obviously, if you have illness, you go to the doctor to try to figure out what's wrong with you so that you know how to better take care of yourself. Movement, we know that exercise is important. Sitting is the new smoking, is what they say. So because we have jobs where we're sitting a lot, moving around is really, really important to us. It's different than 50 or 60 years ago when there was a lot of manufacturing jobs and people were on their feet moving around. If we're sitting in front of our computers all day, we need to be moving when we're not working. Fuel, eating whole foods, putting good food into our body. And I know this can be a little bit challenging because I had to study over 300 diets when I was becoming a health coach. So there's tons and tons of diets, but we can talk more. I'm happy to have a call with anybody and talk to them about foods. But for the most part, for anyone, first thing I would say is eat whole foods. That means that the form in which you get the food looks like the food that was grown. So it's not processed food that's comes in the form of crackers and cookies and chips and pre-made foods that have rich sauces, lots of preservatives, lots of garbage that you don't really want in your body. So the more it looks like the food that the farmer gives you, the better it is for you. So that's the best I can tell you without getting into specifics about food, because this could be an entire conversation about whole foods and what we want to fuel our body with. So start with whole foods. Then, of course, you can try other things like cutting gluten out. Another huge one is cutting sugar out. So many of us have caffeine and sugar because we think caffeine and sugar gives you energy, but it actually gives you that boost and then depletes your energy. So it's actually taking more energy than it's giving you. So please, 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 you'll have so much more energy if you cut the caffeine and the sugar rather than getting that boost from them, because it just leaves us tired later. We know this. I mean, I don't know anybody who it doesn't happen to. We just get more tired later. So I understand once in a while you need that little boost just to get you through something, but for the most part, it is killing our bodies over time. The amount of sugar that we have in our diets today is more than 10 times the amount of sugar that they had in their diets just 20 or 30 years ago. And a lot of that, again, is processed food. So if we stick with those whole foods, less sugar, like vegetables, they don't have refined processed sugar. They're just whole sugars that our body loves to take in. It goes with the fiber. So eat whole foods, right? And most of us already know this, so this is not outrageous. Sleeping, this is a huge one. When I was growing up, it was like a competition who could sleep the least and still get the most amount of stuff done, right? That is not a healthy way to live. Sleep is so essential to our bodies. Our bodies haven't caught up to our brains in that they can't stay awake 24 hours a day and just, constantly go. It's not good for our brains either, but our brains think they can, right? We think that we can live off of 4 hours of sleep or 5 hours of sleep. And I'm telling you that the human being needs 8 hours of sleep. So if there's anything you can do to really increase your energy, it's really making sure that you get your rest time so that that energy can be building up while you're sleeping. and you'll have that energy in the future. So you can survive off of less sleep, and it's not thriving. It's not thriving energy then. But here's the big thing, like, we know all of this. Like, I mean, raise your hand. I know y'all know that you're supposed to be eating good and drinking water and having your sleep and all of those good things. We know this. So why don't we do it, right? Why don't we drink the more water? And it's because these are the reasons I get the most often anyway from my clients, because it's a lot of work, right? Like having to plan foods rather than just get processed or pre-made or, take out. That's challenging, right? It's a little bit more work. And it doesn't have to be, it's just a new habit, right? So because we put ourselves last, this is one of the most common things, especially a lot of single moms that I know. They're like, oh, well, I just need to make food fast. So I just eat whatever's left over. I eat garbage, whatever's quick so I can get my work done, get my kids, take care of everything. And then really, because we treat our bodies like they're machines, we think that they should just work, and then one day they don't, and then we realize how precious our bodies really are. They are these special, magical miracles that we need to really take care of. And why don't we do these things? Because we forget. We forget how important and magical they really are until we no longer have that magic, and then we're sad. So here's some of the tips that I would give my clients, right? So don't go full force. So I know so many people who are like, well, that's it. I'm getting all of my energy back tomorrow. I am going to eat all whole foods, make sure I drink my water, start a new exercise regimen, make sure I get all my sleep. And then guess what? On day 3, they're, missing a few things, and they've given up all completely by day 5. That happens so often. I mean, think about New Year's resolutions and how they don't stick around. It's because we try to be perfect, and often we try to do too much at one time. So really, we want to make small goals. Pick 1 or 2 things that you want to focus on. Maybe just drinking enough water and getting enough sleep. Those 2 things alone, you will be surprised how much of your energy will get back. Our bodies are really resilient. So making just a couple of changes at one time, it's going to be easier on your body, and your body's going to bounce back rather than trying to, just detox the whole system and start over. Detox is great if you're going to do it for a day or 2, but long term, like trying to think long term, that's harder. So we want to just be gentle and make sure that the changes that we're making are going to be permanent, not just, fad dieting where we diet for 5 days and then eat garbage for 3 weeks and then diet for another 2 days. That's not how we want to do it. So make habits last by just, starting small. So make those small goals and create momentum, instead of saying, I'm going to start exercising every day. I'm going to go to the gym maybe twice this week. If that is realistic to you, that you really feel like, even if you think, oh, I could do 3 or 4 times, start with 2 times, just committing to 2 times. You can go 4 times, you can go 7 times if you want. But if you make the goal of 2, and you then you can feel good about having accomplished it, and you won't get completely thrown off if something crazy happens during your week and you really only end up going twice, right? You'll still feel good because you hit your goal. And you can set a stretch too, that I'm going to definitely do 2, and then if I do 4, that'll be my stretch, right? That's what I really want to do. That would be great. I'd be really happy with myself. But make goals that you can start some momentum and, get some successes under your belt, and make them harder as you go. So everything is a choice. Just remember that it's just a choice. And we're not going to make 100% of the right choices. So one choice at a time. What am I going to have for lunch? Am I going to have the easy pre-made food, or am I going to make myself a salad? It's just one choice at a time. That's what I want you to remember. And there's no shame. So when we decide to have that chocolate cupcake instead of the apple, let's not shame ourselves. Let's be curious about it. Why was it? What was it that I was hoping to get out of that chocolate cupcake? Now that I'm on my sugar crash, how am I feeling about having that chocolate cupcake rather than having the apple? How do I think I would feel about myself if I would have chosen the apple? Just be curious about your decision. No shaming, just curiosity. Because really perfection is a myth. That's all stuff that people made up. People aren't 100% anything. Um, it's just how in human nature to not be a perfect person. So let's just not go for perfection. Let's really upgrade. So right now, 100% of the food that you're eating is either, takeout, fast food, processed food. Make it a goal to this week, I'm going to have 2 dinners that I make for myself, like small goals. And so I have some tools for you that are going to help you with this. So a few of the tools and the worksheets that I've put in, it's this workbook, but they're really just a bunch of worksheets that are going to help you get through this, is finding your why and your why not. Now, a lot of people know, oh, I have to find my why. But we really want to dig deep into that why, like why is it that you want to have more energy? Oh, because I want to play with my kids more. Okay, well, why do you want to play with your kids more? Well, because I'd really like them to remember us having a lot more quality time. I don't get enough quality time. And why is that important to you? Well, because it's really important to me that I'm a good mom. Like keep going down into that why so you can really get there, like, yeah, it's important for me to be a good mom. Like that's really the why of my goal of having more energy or sleeping more at night, right? It's that underlying, how do I want it to make me feel? And then what I also think is important that not everybody does is the why not? What happens if nothing changes? What happens if you are going to feel tired and depleted for the rest of your life? What does that mean for you? What does that mean that's not going to change? What is going to get worse in your life? How do you see this going about it if you don't make a change? Those are both really important, and there's a worksheet for there. And then there's also a list worksheet on getting to your goals. So that's what this is talking about, is listing out all of the things that you could be doing. Don't overwhelm yourself. I'm not going to ask you to do them all, but we all know that there's probably hundreds of things that we could be doing to have our better health. And we're going to do this for each one of these sections that we talk about when we talk about the personal happiness and relationships as well. But on this one, list down all of the healthful things that you could be doing: making sure I'm drinking enough water, cutting out sugar, eating whole foods, cooking more, moving more, sleeping more, all of those things, taking time for myself, whatever it is, take care of your physical body. What could you be doing? And then when you go through that list, what I want you to do is look for the ones that are one of two things, hopefully both, right? So the things that will have the most impact, and I will tell you right off the bat, sleeping and water and movement. Those are the 3 things. Of course, cutting sugar too. And the reason I didn't mention that is because that's the first part, is what would make a huge impact. The second part is what would be easy for you to do. What would be easy for you to accomplish, right? So sometimes the sleep and the water is an easier one for some people. Sometimes the sleep one is really hard because you have so much crammed into your day. So maybe it's eating more whole foods, or having less sugar, starting to cut out the sugar. Again, you don't have to be a perfectionist. You don't have to say, oh, I'm cutting out sugar, so absolutely no sugar. Do your best and make it a percentage goal instead of like 100% no sugar. Maybe you say, well, I drink 4 sodas a day. Maybe I'll try drinking half that, 50%, or, I'll make sure that 70% of my intake during the day is all whole foods, and then, allow that 30%. of course, try to make it 100% if you can, and we make it a lower goal so that we can feel good about ourselves, knowing that we're human and we're not perfect. So there's worksheets on these that are going to help you kind of walk through it. So check those out. I'm sure you can download them around here somewhere, and start working on these, and then come back for the video for our personal happiness, because I think that this one is really, really essential to our energy. Even though we might think that our physical energy is the most important, I'm telling you, these other two have these secret little weapons that we don't see physically, which is why they are such great energy vampires and hiding in them. So come on back for the personal connections video in just a minute.